You have no idea how many times I sat beside you when you thought no one cared. You have no idea how many storms I silenced just so you could breathe through one more day. This moment right now is not an accident. This is sacred. I've been holding my breath in heaven, waiting for your heart to slow down enough so you could hear mine. I've watched you chase answers in every direction except toward me, and yet I haven't moved. I stayed right here, arms open. I didn't interrupt your chaos because I wanted this moment to mean something. I wanted this moment to be the one where everything changes, the one where you feel the weight of my love pressing in stronger than the weight of your pain. You've cried out in the dark, but tonight I need you to understand your voice has never gone unnoticed. My child, this is your divine interruption. This is not a coincidence that you opened this message. This is me, Jesus, calling your name when everyone else forgot how to pronounce it. I didn't come here to repeat the promises you've already heard from broken people. I came to whisper the truth that breaks chains. You are not too far gone. You are not too late. And you are absolutely not beyond repair. I've been preparing a heart-to-heart with you since the moment life started pulling you away from me. The silence you felt. It wasn't me ignoring you. It was me waiting for the noise in your life to go quiet enough for my whisper to be louder than the lies. I have watched the loneliness wrap itself around your chest like it owns your future, and tonight I tear that lie apart. I've been longing, not demanding, not scolding, not shaming, longing to sit in the ashes with you until your fire returns. This is not about religion. This is about rescue. This is not about rules. This is about relationship. And right now, I need to say this clearly. I have not changed my mind about you. My plans for you are still alive. My mercy is still chasing you down. I need you to sit still for a moment, not physically, but spiritually, so I can pour back into the places that life and people and regret have drained dry. I want you to know that even when you hated me, I loved you. Even when you said you gave up on me, I still held on to every promise I made over your life. The enemy wanted you too broken to ever hear me again. But here we are. I have waited in the shadows of your disappointment, in the corners of your confusion, in the hidden wounds that no one else knows how to touch. And now, I'm speaking directly to your soul because I'm not here to repair your mask. I came to heal your heart. I don't want the version of you that tries to impress me. I want the version of you that's tired, uncertain, raw, and real. My child, you have no idea how much heaven has fought to get this message in front of you, right now, in this exact hour. So before you scroll, before your mind drifts again into the pit of doubt, I need you to understand this isn't just a message. This is a rescue. This is an encounter. This is my cry from eternity saying, I still want you, I still choose you, and I still believe in who I created you to be. You don't have to pretend here. This is your heart-to-heart with me, unfiltered, unedited, unashamed. And I'm just getting started. The world has filled your ears with distractions that numbed your ability to hear me clearly. The constant opinions, the pressure to perform, the endless comparisons, the shouting of fears disguised as facts, none of it speaks to your soul like I do. You've been so entangled in the noise that you've forgotten how to be still, how to breathe without anxiety whispering in your ear, how to hope without hesitation. But now, right here, I've silenced the unnecessary, not to punish you but to free you. I had to pull you into this sacred pause, where everything else fades and only my voice remains. It's not rejection you're feeling, it's redirection. The reason things started falling apart around you is because I'm bringing everything back into alignment within you. You've given your energy to so many things that drained your spirit but never fed your soul. That cycle ends here. I'm interrupting the rhythm that was breaking you. I'm silencing every voice that never carried my truth. And I'm pulling you close because I have something to say that no one else can tell you, not a friend, not a sermon, not a song, only me. I need your undivided heart. Not because I'm demanding it, but because I know what's coming ahead. And if you don't hear me now, you'll mistake danger for direction. I am the calm in the middle of your internal chaos. I am the clarity you've been begging for at night when confusion made your thoughts feel like a battlefield. I am not shouting over the noise anymore, I'm inviting you to step out of it. This moment right now is sacred space. This is not content. This is communion. This is not a scrollable message. This is a spiritual operation, where I remove what's been planted by lies and restore what's been stolen by fear. Don't you see? That anxious tension you've normalized is not your identity, it's a signal that something is missing. That something's me. I need you to lean into this silence, because in it, I'm filling you with something deeper than words. Revelation. Intimacy. How? You don't have to try harder to earn it. You simply have to surrender the noise that's been drowning it out. I've seen you reach for momentary escapes, entertainment, busyness, even unhealthy connections, not because you're weak, but because you've been trying to survive the roar of this world with no rest for your soul. But what if I told you that you're not called to survive like that anymore? You are called to be still and know. Know me. Know peace. Know your value, not based on applause, but based on being mine. This stillness right now is not emptiness, it's where the real you emerges. You've been running from the silence because it felt lonely, but I've been waiting in it to give you what crowds could never offer, wholeness. You've begged for me to show up, and I'm here, but I need you to stop turning the volume up on everything else. This is the heart-to-heart you've avoided but needed. This is the divine disruption meant to reroute your spirit, not away from your purpose, but finally into it. When I strip away the noise, I'm not taking your comfort, I'm clearing your vision. You cannot hear your calling when your ears are full of counterfeit confirmations. You cannot rise when you're weighed down by the demands of voices that never made you. So let me be louder now, not by force, but by focus. This moment is me and you, no filters, no performance, no expectations. Just truth, just presence, just Jesus. And I'm not letting go until your spirit remembers how to rest again. Not in your achievements, not in your plans, but in my arms. I'm not speaking to impress you. I'm speaking to rescue you. And before we go any further, I need to ask you something, not with pressure, but with purpose. Will you finally silence everything else so you can hear what heaven has been trying to say all along? There's a depth in your sorrow that even you haven't dared to explore. You've been walking through life wearing a mask that's been cracking under the pressure, smiling when your heart is breaking, laughing while your soul silently screams. But I've been there in every quiet breakdown behind closed doors. In every night you stared at the ceiling wondering why it still hurts so much. You've been told to be strong, but strength was never meant to be silence. You've wept in places no one noticed, but I saw every tear. They weren't wasted. They were collected. They spoke louder in my courts than any words you were afraid to say. I need you to know something sacred right now, your pain as a witness. You have not been crying in vain. While others overlooked the depth of your suffering, I was kneeling beside you, tracing every drop that escaped your eyes. And those questions that haunt your mind, the ones you think are too heavy, too messy, too irreverent for me, I already know them. And I'm not offended. I'm not surprised. I'm not angry that you wrestle with what you don't understand. I just want you to finally bring those questions to me, not bury them under forced faith or pretend peace. You've learned to survive by not asking too much, by telling yourself, maybe I don't deserve answers. But I never told you to silence your heart just to appear obedient. I want honesty, not performance. Vulnerability, not perfection. And that trembling ache inside, the one that says, why did this happen? Why did you allow it? Why wasn't I enough? I'm not turning away from that voice. I'm stepping closer to it. My child, I can handle your doubts. What I cannot do is force my healing into wounds you keep hidden. You've mastered hiding, but I am the one who specializes in revealing what needs love, not judgment. If you knew how I weep when you believe you're alone, if you saw how heaven leans in when you whisper help, if you realized how fiercely I protect the fragile parts of your heart, you would never again believe that your silence equals my absence. This is not about fixing everything in one moment. This is about finally acknowledging the pain you've tried to ignore. This is your safe place. This is your holy ground. You've locked certain memories behind doors labeled too broken to revisit, but I hold the key and I want to walk you through those places, not to shame you, but to free you. That rejection you buried, that betrayal you still flinch from, that mistake you wear like a scarlet letter, let me inside those spaces. I'm not afraid of the mess. I already knew it was there. What hurts me most isn't what happened to you. It's the lie you believed afterward that you weren't worth healing. That's what I came to destroy. This moment between us isn't just about comfort, it's about breaking the silence that has kept you captive. I want to teach you how to cry without feeling weak, how to grieve without shame, how to question while still trusting. You are allowed to feel the depth of your sorrow and still be wrapped in my love. You don't have to hold it together here. Let go. Cry if you must. Speak the things you were never given permission to say. I'm listening not to respond with correction, but to surround you with compassion. You've cried in the presence of people who didn't know what to do with your pain. But now you're with the one who created the soul you're struggling to understand. Don't shut down again. I'm not letting you drown silently. I'm reaching beneath the surface, where no words have ever reached, and I'm pulling you into something deeper than comfort, restoration. This is not a temporary relief. This is the beginning of your inner resurrection. So speak, my child, even if your voice shakes, even if it feels awkward or unsure. Because right here, with me, your silence finally has a voice, and it's about to echo through every place that once held your pain hostage. You don't even realize how much has been slipping away from you in silence. Your joy has been bleeding slowly, your confidence chipped piece by piece, and your hope diluted under the weight of daily survival. You haven't lost everything in one sudden moment, it's been stolen gradually, by lies you didn't notice creeping in, by wounds that kept reopening without healing, by people who drained your strength and left without explanation. You've been robbed in the quiet hours, not by force, but through exhaustion, through delay, through compromise, through heartbreaks you never fully processed. And that's exactly why I'm stepping in, not to alert you to danger, but to deliver you from it. This isn't a divine reprimand. This is divine rescue. The enemy didn't come at you with obvious destruction, he came for your trust. He didn't shatter your world overnight, he seduced your heart into believing you were slowly being forgotten little by little. But I have not forgotten you, and I refuse to watch you slip further into spiritual unconsciousness. What's been stolen from you was never meant to be permanently lost. I'm here to restore the parts of your heart that you've written off as unrecoverable. This lifeline I'm offering isn't made of cliches or temporary comfort, this is sacred intervention. I'm reaching into the places where you've given up, where you've settled, where you've surrendered to despair without even realizing it. I know you've been functioning like everything is fine, going through the motions, checking boxes, smiling at the right moments. But I see the hollowness behind your strength, the numbness growing where passion used to live. My child, I'm not asking you to fake it anymore. I'm not here to give you more rules, I'm offering rescue. This isn't about behavior. It's about healing. This is not me threatening you, it's me fighting for you. Because whether you know it or not, a battle has been raging over your heart. The enemy wanted your dreams to die quietly so you'd stop praying for more. He wanted your identity blurred so you'd accept less than who you really are. He wanted your spirit dulled just enough that you'd stop expecting miracles. But I've drawn the line. I've stepped into the fire you couldn't see, and I'm not backing away until you're standing in freedom again. I need you to see this. You're not being interrupted, you're being rescued. I'm not trying to ruin your comfort. I'm here to confront what's killing you slowly. I'm pulling the curtain back so you can see how the enemy deceived you into lowering your expectations, hiding your wounds, and silencing your voice. My love will not sit quietly while your soul decays behind smiles and spiritual language. I will not allow you to keep pretending you're fine while you're quietly fading. I know what's been taken from you. and I've come with full authority to reclaim it. Your passion, your clarity, your peace, your identity, it's not gone forever. I've preserved it in my mercy, and I'm returning it to you in pieces you can carry again. This lifeline isn't just for survival, it's for revival. I didn't come to patch you up, I came to rebuild. You may feel fragile, but I see foundation. You may feel lost, but I see the path you didn't think existed anymore. And I'm not offering you empty encouragement, I'm placing in your hands a promise that can't be broken. I need you to reach back, not in fear, not in guilt, but in trust. Grab this lifeline, not because you're strong enough, but because I'm not letting go. I didn't bring you here just to soothe you, I brought you here to awaken you. What was stolen is being tracked by heaven. What was broken is being rebuilt by grace. And what was silenced is about to roar louder than it ever did before. So hold tight. This lifeline is not just me calling your name, it's me fighting for everything the enemy hoped you would never recover again. Even when no one checks on you. Even when the phone stays silent. When no one asks how you're holding up. When people walk right past your pain as if it's invisible, heaven still calls your name with unwavering precision. I have engraved you upon the eternal memory of my heart. Not a single breath you've taken has escaped my notice. There has never been a second in your existence where you disappeared from my awareness. While the world measured your worth by presence and performance, I measured you by belonging. And you belong here with me. You have been surrounded by silence, misunderstood by those you gave your all to, and overlooked by the very ones you kept praying for. But I never took my eyes off you. Every unnoticed effort, every lonely decision, every sacrificial choice you made when nobody applauded, I saw it all, and I honored it in ways no human affirmation ever could. Don't confuse man's silence with heaven's absence. Just because no one thanked you doesn't mean I didn't reward you. You are not one in a crowd to me. You are the one I left the crowd for. The one I chose to stay near when you couldn't feel anyone else standing by you. The one I carried in the spirit when your own feet were too tired to move forward. I am the God who remembers when everyone forgets. You've been convincing yourself to be okay with being forgotten, telling yourself to accept it, to not expect more, to live with less, but I came tonight to break that mindset. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not an afterthought in my story. You are the focus of it. And that ache inside your chest, that quiet longing to be truly seen without having to explain yourself. That's me, calling you into remembrance, not just for comfort, but for purpose. I remember you, not like a memory that fades, but like a flame that burns in the heart of my plans. When others deleted you from their future, I wrote you into my unfolding destiny. When others closed their door, I opened a window in heaven just to shine light on your name. Not because you earned it, but because you're mine. And I take care of what belongs to me. You may have felt forgotten by time, left behind by opportunities, discarded by people you trusted. But what is delayed by men is defended by me. I've been building something sacred around your life that didn't need public approval. It only needed my breath. And I've been breathing on every dry place, every overlooked dream, every unspoken desire you tucked away for someday. That someday is awakening now. Not because the world remembered you, but because I never stopped. You are on heaven's radar. Angels still move at the mention of your name. I assign my presence to hover over you like a promise that cannot be erased. This isn't sentiment, it's strategy. You were not created to be tolerated. You were formed to be known. And I know you. Not the version you try to present to the world, but the version that breaks in silence, that wonders if any of it will ever make sense. I know that version, and I adore them. My love is not based on what you've done right, it's based on the fact that I made you and declared you worthy before you ever performed a single act of faith. Don't believe the lie that says you're just another forgotten soul in a long line of the overlooked. Heaven doesn't forget what heaven creates. I remember the moment I breathed life into you. I remember every second you thought you were alone. And I remember every cry, every whispered plea you thought faded into the dark. They didn't. They reached me, and I held them close until the right moment arrived to speak what I'm saying now. You are deeply remembered, intentionally watched over, eternally valued. So lift your head, my child. This is not the end. This is the moment you realize heaven's been calling your name while you were still learning how to listen again. You've mastered the art of pretending. Smiles worn like armor, strength performed like a role, while your heart grows heavier with every unspoken burden. You've made it look so convincing, so composed, so capable, so in control that even those closest to you have no idea how alone you truly feel. But I know. I've watched you fade slowly behind the image you've built to protect yourself. I've seen how you nod along in conversations while your soul quietly retreats. How you say I'm fine out of habit because it feels safer than explaining the truth. I've watched you shrink your emotions just to keep the peace, carry more than you should because no one else stepped up, and stay silent because every time you opened up in the past, you were met with judgment instead of grace. You've been acting strong because you didn't think weakness was an option, but I never asked you to pretend for me. I didn't die for a version of you that fakes being okay. I gave everything for the real you, the one that cries after everyone's gone home, the one that fights invisible battles daily, the one that's been screaming in silence while the world assumes you've got it all together. That isolation you feel, it's not who you are, it's where you've been surviving. And I'm not condemning you for it, I'm calling you out of it. Because when you isolate to cope, you also distance yourself from the healing I've been trying to offer. I never created you to carry everything alone, and yet you've been holding pain with both hands, unwilling to let it go because at least it's familiar. But what if you let me carry what's been crushing you? What if, instead of pretending to be strong, you finally allowed yourself to be held? There is no shame in falling apart when you fall into my arms. Your self-reliance might impress people, but it's your surrender that moves heaven. You don't have to be everyone's rock. You just have to remember who your rock is. And that loneliness you've been burying under productivity, distraction, and silence, it's not meant to become your normal. I see the walls you've built. Not just physical boundaries, but emotional ones, spiritual ones, barriers designed to keep out disappointment but unintentionally locking me out as well. You don't even realize how often you said I'm good while silently hoping someone would notice you're not. And I noticed. I never looked away. I've been standing right outside the space you shut off from the world, waiting for one moment of real surrender, one whisper that says, Jesus, I can't do this alone anymore. I'm not asking you to be strong for me. I'm asking you to be honest with me. Because your isolation is robbing you of what I've prepared for your restoration. My voice isn't echoing through the void to scold you, it's reaching through the cracks of your hidden pain, reminding you that you're still seen, still pursued, still loved without conditions. You don't have to keep pushing everyone away out of fear they'll misunderstand you again. I understand you perfectly. Every reason you retreated, every moment you chose silence over exposure, every time you convinced yourself no one would stay if they saw the real weight you carry, I knew. And I stayed. I've always stayed. Even when you closed the door, I remained just outside, whispering hope through the keyhole, sending signs through strangers, songs, scriptures, reminders that you don't have to do this alone. So come out of hiding. Let me meet you in that vulnerable place you've protected for so long. You are not fragile for needing help, you are human, and you are mine. The weight you're carrying is not proof of your strength, it's proof that you've gone too long without leaning on me. Let me be the strength beneath your surrender, not the critic of your pain. You don't have to isolate to feel safe anymore. Come out, child. The rescue has already arrived. I've been watching the light in your eyes slowly dim, like a candle flickering against a cold wind. The laughter that once flowed so freely from your spirit now feels hesitant, strained, more like a habit than a joy. I know the difference. You still smile when others are watching, but I see how it doesn't reach your soul anymore. I see how your joy has become guarded, like a room you don't enter often. You laugh, but only enough to blend in. You joke, but not enough to be vulnerable. And I know why. Life hasn't just drained you, it's bruised the part of you that once danced without fear. You've been carrying invisible weight in the shadows of your heart, hoping no one would notice the shift. But I've noticed. Not to expose you, but to remind you that your joy matters to me. You were never created to live behind forced expressions. You weren't made to get through life by masking what's missing. I don't just care about your pain, I care about your joy. I want to restore the laughter that came from a place of peace, not pressure. I want to bring back the kind of joy that doesn't ask for permission or feel guilty for existing. You've learned to laugh cautiously because it's safer than letting your guard down, safer than being disappointed again. Somewhere along the way, you started believing that if you expected less, you'd be hurt less. And so even joy became something you rationed, something you allowed in small doses so it wouldn't overwhelm your delicate balance. But I never intended for you to live with a silenced spirit. My joy is not fleeting. It's not based on circumstances. It doesn't depend on people, outcomes, or perfect moments. It's a river ever flowing, even in drought. And I'm offering it again. Not in pieces, not in shadows, but in fullness. But for you to receive it, you have to stop pretending that you're content without it. You have to let me into the places where your joy used to live but now echoes with emptiness. I know you've been let down. I know things didn't turn out the way you hoped. I know some of your laughter was stolen by betrayal, delayed dreams, and unspoken grief. But I'm not asking you to pretend that didn't happen. I'm asking you to believe that joy is still possible despite it. That healing doesn't just mean surviving the pain, it means finding delight again. You don't need to wait for life to be perfect before you let joy back in. You just need to give me the broken parts where joy once lived, and I'll rebuild what sorrow tried to dismantle. This isn't forced positivity. This is divine restoration. I'm not handing you temporary relief, I'm breathing new life into the soul that's been waiting in the quiet for laughter to return. Even in your most silent seasons, I've been preparing joy for you. Joy that's rooted in my presence, not performance. Joy that dances even when the music stops. Joy that fills the void without asking for anything in return. The enemy tried to convince you that your joy was childish, that it made you vulnerable, that it couldn't last. But I tell you now, your joy is warfare, is holy. It's a declaration that darkness didn't win. And it's coming back, not as an echo but as a flood. So let your guard down with me. Let the quietness of your laughter be replaced with something authentic, unfiltered, and full. You don't have to earn it. You just have to receive it. I never asked you to laugh when you were broken, I asked you to come to me when you were tired, so I could give you rest and then joy. So tonight, don't just survive. Let me teach your soul to laugh again, not to cover your pain, but to rise above it. You've become so skilled at hiding it, haven't you? You've grown used to waking up with a pressure pressing on your chest, but you still go about your day as if it isn't there, shouldering responsibilities, smiling through discomfort, saying all the right words while something deep inside feels like it's collapsing. You've grown so used to the weight that you've mistaken it for normal. But I see it. I feel it. I know exactly where it sits in your soul. You haven't spoken about it to anyone, not because you don't want to, but because you're tired of explaining a pain that has no clear definition. You've tried to put it into words, but how do you describe something that doesn't go away, that lingers even when everything around you seems fine? It's not just sadness, it's spiritual exhaustion. It's not just weariness, it's the result of carrying too many unanswered questions, too many roles, too many disappointments, too many pieces of yourself that you've never had the space to unpack. My child, you were never meant to live like this. And I did not design your heart to endure in silence under burdens that were never yours to carry. You've made space for everyone else's needs, but no one has made space for yours. You're often the one people come to, but when you're the one hurting, you retreat, because it feels like there's no room for your own breakdown. But I'm not people. I don't need you to be composed. I need you to be honest. I've seen you push past what's healthy just to keep everything from falling apart. I've seen you give beyond your limits, stretch yourself so thin just to hold things together, even when you knew you were unraveling. You don't have to live this way with me. I won't criticize you for feeling depleted. I won't demand you to be strong while secretly struggling. I already know what it's costing you just to function. But I did come to add more weight. I came to lift what's been crushing your peace. I'm not asking for your perfection, I'm reaching for your surrender. Let me hold what you've never dared to drop. Let me step into the cracks that you've been patching with silence and strength. You were not created to absorb every pressure without release. That's why you've been breaking in places no one else can see, because the weight has nowhere to go. But here, right now, I am making room for it. You don't have to justify your pain. You don't have to prove your worth before laying down what's too much. You are already worth rescuing. You are already seen. And I see not just the heaviness but the courage it's taken you to carry it for this long. That ache you feel at the end of each day when you finally sit down and let your heart catch up with your body, that's where I want to meet you. I want to sit with you in the exhaustion that no one else seems to notice. You don't have to put on strength here. I have enough for both of us. And I am not rushing you to feel better. I'm asking you to release what's been slowly suffocating your hope. You have not been weak, you've been too strong for too long. But now it's time to let the weight fall. You've earned rest, not by performance, but because you're mine. I care about what you've been carrying. Even the parts you think are too small, too petty, too complicated, I care about all of it. Nothing about you is invisible to me. So when the world is silent, when no one checks in, when you feel unseen and unheard, remember this. I don't need a reminder to care about you. I feel what you feel. I know what you carry. And I'm not asking you to lift your head, I'm kneeling beside you to lift the load instead. So breathe, child. You are not forgotten, and you do not have to carry this alone anymore. He's been targeting the places no one sees. Not your appearance, not your reputation, not your outer life, but your inner core, the parts of you that keep everything else standing. He whispers in the dark, not with obvious attacks, but with subtle accusations meant to wear you down slowly. He plants lies in the quiet hours, telling you that nothing will change, that you're too broken to be rebuilt, that no one would understand if you spoke the truth about your battles. He works in isolation, hoping you'll stay silent long enough to forget your value. That's why the pressure has increased, not because you're weak, but because he knows you're on the edge of breakthrough. And he fears what will happen if you ever realize how much power you still carry when you're connected to me. But I didn't bring you this far to let him have the last word. He has fought to break you in private, hoping your collapse would happen where no one could see it, but I've already declared that your comeback will be public. What the enemy hoped to bury in silence, I am preparing to raise in glory. You've been under attack not because you're forgotten, but because you're dangerous to darkness. Every time you chose to keep going when you wanted to give up, every time you stayed faithful when no one saw, every time you worshipped while wounded, you didn't lose ground. You gained it. And heaven was watching. I saw what you pushed through, and I've been preparing something that will silence every lie that tried to define you. This is not about revenge. This is about redemption. I want to restore you openly because what was done to you tried to write a false ending. But I am the author. I hold the pen, and I am not finished with your story. You've cried in places no one applauded. You've healed in silence while others misunderstood your absence. You've battled mindsets, memories, and spiritual weight that would have destroyed someone else. But you're still here. Even bruised, even tired, even uncertain, you're still standing. And that, my child, is a threat to the enemy's agenda. He wanted you to fold quietly. He never expected you to survive long enough to hear this. What you did. And now I'm speaking directly to the wounded places he tried to make permanent. What he broke in secret, I will rebuild in broad daylight. Not to embarrass you, but to glorify what grace can do when someone surrenders their pain instead of hiding it. The very area he tried to shame you in will become the place I showcase my power. He wanted to reduce your identity to your past, but I'm elevating your purpose in ways you never saw coming. I will restore your joy where grief once ruled. I will place honor where humiliation tried to live. I will put strength where shame had built its home. You don't need to defend yourself. I am your defender. You don't have to fight alone. I've already won battles on your behalf that you don't even know existed. Your scars will not disqualify you, they will become testimonies. What you went through, but who brought you through. I am not ashamed of your wounds, and you don't need to be either. Let me restore you in front of the same eyes that saw you fall. Let me raise you in the sight of those who said it was over. I'm not doing it for revenge, I'm doing it for glory. Because when I restore someone, I don't hide it. I pour out favor that cannot be denied. I open doors that no man can shut. I build platforms not to glorify pain, but to magnify healing. So prepare your heart, beloved. What you thought was the end is just the middle. I will not let the enemy define your destiny with what he did in secret. I will finish what I started, and I will finish it in full view of those who thought it was too late. You've been trying to navigate terrain that was never yours to travel solo. You've been carrying burdens on roads that were never designed for your feet alone to endure. I didn't create you to carry emotional freight without help, to fight through spiritual storms without covering, or to make life-altering decisions in isolation. But somewhere along the way, you started believing that asking for help meant failure, that being strong meant staying quiet, that if you were really faithful, you'd be able to do this without leaning on anyone, not even me. But that belief has been slowly unraveling the very foundation of your peace. That belief was planted by pain, not by me. My design for you was never independence, it was intimacy. Intimacy with me. Intimacy with truth. Intimacy with the healing that can only begin when the walls start falling down. But the longer you've walked this path pretending you didn't need support, the deeper the weariness has embedded itself into your spirit. And I feel it. I feel how exhausted you are. I feel how tired your soul has grown from carrying what you never had help sorting through. I feel how you've convinced yourself that no one would understand, that others would only judge, that I must be distant because it's been so quiet. But the silence wasn't my absence, it was my waiting. Waiting for the moment you'd realize this fight was never yours to carry alone. I am not disappointed in your struggle. I am not ashamed of your weakness. I'm grieved that you've been walking through the fire thinking you had to shield me from your truth. Don't you know I walk in fire too? Don't you know I go into the wilderness with you? That I don't wait at the finish line, I walk every mile, feel every tear, stay in every valley. I don't watch you from afar. I walk beside you even when you can't see me, even when you stopped reaching. My love is not based on how well you handle hardship. My love is rooted in who I am, not how strong you appear. And now, more than ever, I need you to understand that isolation will not heal you. You spent too long bottling up what was always meant to be poured out before me. You've let guilt keep you silent and shame keep you separate. But neither of those voices come from me. I speak restoration, not rejection. I speak connection, not disqualification. You are not meant to be alone in your decisions, alone in your healing, alone in your calling, alone in your pain. I designed you to move with me, not apart from me. When I said follow me, I didn't mean figure it out and then meet me later. I meant walk with me in the middle of the mess. I know how to lead you when the path is unclear. I know how to hold your hand when your vision is blurred by grief. I know how to carry you when your legs no longer respond to hope. Stop trying to be unshakable. I didn't ask for that. I asked for closeness. Let me in again. Let me carry what you keep hiding under fake strength. Let me whisper direction when the noise of life drowns everything else out. You do not have to finish this stretch of the journey by yourself. In fact, you can't. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Your strength was never meant to be in how long you can hold it together, but in how quickly you let me step in. This is the moment I offer you my shoulder again, not because you're broken, but because you are love. You don't have to navigate the unknown blindfolded by fear. I walk ahead of you, beside you, and behind you. I cover every angle you cannot. So let's walk forward, not separately, but side by side. Your next step doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be with me. You've handed your heart to people who handled it like a burden, not a treasure. You've opened your soul to voices that spoke convenience instead of care, promises that sounded real until they broke under pressure. I saw it all. I watched how you gave parts of yourself with trembling hope, only to receive silence, withdrawal, or betrayal in return. I know how it made you question not only them but yourself. You started wondering if your love was too much, if your sincerity made you weak, if your vulnerability was the mistake. But hear me clearly now, it was never your heart that failed, it was the hands that dropped it. And I am not those hands. I am not temporary. I am not selfish. I don't use you for what you offer and disappear when it's no longer convenient. I don't turn cold when you're hurting. I don't manipulate your emotions or twist your honesty into weakness. I don't leave when it gets difficult. My nature doesn't shift like theirs did. My love doesn't flinch at your truth. I do not betray. You've been guarded lately, haven't you? Even with me. You want to trust again, but your soul flinches at the thought of being disappointed one more time. You've trained yourself to expect abandonment because too many people said the right things and still left you bleeding. But I didn't come to say the right thing. I came to become the very thing your heart was missing: security, stability, steadiness in the storm. When I say I will not leave, I mean forever. When I call you mine, I don't change my mind. When I make a covenant with your soul, it's not dependent on your performance, it's rooted in who I am. My faithfulness is not fragile. I didn't just enter your life to observe. I entered it to redeem. And I'm staying. Even when you doubt me. Even when you distance yourself out of instinct. Even when the fear of being broken again tries to convince you to keep me at arm's length, I'll still be right here. I know it's hard to let down your walls. I know the hurt still lives in the background of your memory, whispering warnings every time love comes close. But I am not asking for blind trust. I'm asking for permission to heal what others damaged. You don't have to rush it. You don't have to pretend you're ready. I'm patient. I wait at the gates of your heart as long as it takes. I just need you to know that I'm not here to take, I'm here to give. You've been pouring out while others just received. But I pour in. I mend. I restore. I rebuild what was never supposed to fall apart in the first place. That betrayal that taught you to hide, I'm unraveling it gently. That silence that echoed after they walked away, I'm speaking directly into it with presence that does not fade. I will never make you feel like you're too much. I will never love you less when you're struggling more. You're not difficult to love, you just haven't always been loved correctly. But I do it differently. My love doesn't confuse, control, or consume. It protects. It lifts. It secures. It angers. So when I say I will not betray you, I mean that my love is the safest place your heart will ever know. No agenda. No performance. No expiration date. Just me, unchanging, unmoving, unshakable. I will not walk away when you open up. I will not grow distant when you fail. I will not twist your honesty into ammunition. I will not remind you of your past when you're reaching for freedom. I came to undo what betrayal did. And while others may have walked away from the real you, I'm running straight toward you. This is your safe space now. This is where trust begins again, not with people, but with me, the one who sees every crack in your soul and still says, you're worth loving, forever. There are things you've carried in silence, wounds that have no voice because they were born in hidden places. No one saw the breaking moments that didn't leave bruises on your body, but shattered something deep within your spirit. You've buried them under layers of survival, pushed them into the shadows of your memory, trying to convince yourself that moving forward meant pretending it never happened. But I was there. Every moment they didn't see, I saw. Every word that pierced you in secret, I heard. Every time you sat alone in a room, and tried to hold yourself together after being torn apart. I was there, closer than your breath. And not for a moment did I look away. Even when you wondered if I had forgotten you, even when you questioned if I cared, I did not turn my face. I turned my heart toward you. You've been told to move on, to let it go, to forgive and forget, but I know it's not that simple. I know that healing doesn't happen through pressure, but through presence. I didn't show up now to remind you of the pain. I came to redeem what it tried to destroy. You don't have to be ashamed of what broke you. You don't have to minimize it to make others comfortable. What happened mattered. What it did to your spirit mattered. And the way it altered how you view yourself in the world, that matters too. But it will not define you forever. I'm not afraid of the dark corners of your story. I'm not repelled by the parts that still ache when triggered. I came to stand in those very places with you, not as a visitor, but as a restorer. You don't have to revisit the past alone. I know what happened, and I also know how it made you feel. You were left to interpret that pain with no one to explain why it happened. And in the silence, the enemy crept in with lies telling you that you were unlovable, weak, unworthy, dirty, forgotten. But those are not my words. Those were never from me. My voice says you are seen, valued, chosen, protected, even when it didn't feel like it in that moment. I allowed free will, but I never abandoned you to evil. And while I didn't orchestrate the harm, I have already prepared healing deeper than the damage. I'm here to take what was done in secret and turn it into a testimony that no darkness can erase. You don't have to hide anymore. Not from me. Not from yourself. Let me step into that room you locked long ago, the one where the pain still echoes in the quiet. You keep the door shut because it hurts too much to look inside. But I already know what's there. I don't need you to explain it. I just need you to open the door. Because I've come to bring peace to the places you were once afraid to revisit. The memories you've run from, I'm redeeming. The names you were called, I'm rewriting. The innocence that was stolen, I'm restoring. You thought I turned my face, but the truth is I turned toward you with tears in my eyes, waiting for the day you'd let me bring comfort no one else ever gave you. I want to show you what love feels like when it doesn't hurt. I want to hold you until you no longer flinch at kindness. I want to be the presence that stays, not the one that vanishes when you're vulnerable. I didn't come to erase your story. I came to heal it from the inside out. You don't have to pretend it never happened. You just have to stop carrying it alone. The closed doors may have concealed what took place, but nothing has been hidden from me. And now, I offer something sacred in return, not answers, but healing. Not explanation, but restoration. Not closure, but resurrection. What happened behind those doors no longer has to imprison you. With me, it becomes the very place where glory will rise from ashes. That question you whispered when the silence was too heavy, when the nights were too long, and your strength was running out, I heard it. The "where are you?" didn't just rise from your lips, it burst from the ache in your soul. You didn't shout it for attention, you released it because your heart was breaking under weight you could no longer carry. You weren't doubting me, you were desperate for evidence that I hadn't left. And today, I want you to know with absolute certainty, I never move. I never distance myself from you. I never stopped watching, listening, surrounding you. I've been nearer than the breath you exhaled in those tearful moments. But I wasn't silent because I didn't care, I was quiet because I was working in places you couldn't see. There are things I was aligning while you wept. Doors I was protecting you from walking through. Battles I was fighting without fanfare. I was holding your mind together when anxiety tried to shatter it. I was speaking through moments, signs, people, even in the stillness, though you didn't always recognize it as me. You thought my silence meant absence, but I was right there, cradling your spirit when no one else even knew it was breaking. You assumed I was distant because you didn't feel my presence in the way you once did. But I haven't changed locations. I've been beside you in every unseen struggle, every breathless prayer, every thought you were too scared to say aloud. Sometimes the storm gets so loud that you lose the ability to feel me, but that doesn't change my nearness. My love isn't based on your senses. My presence isn't dictated by your perception. I am here solid, unmoved, undeterred. And I need you to hear me now with clarity. I've been closer in the silence than you ever imagined. I sat with you when your body was still but your mind raced. I covered you when you thought no one saw your breaking point. I collected the tears you didn't think mattered and turned them into seeds of restoration you'll soon see bloom. You see, I wasn't waiting for you to find me, I was waiting for you to remember I've never left. You cried out in your lowest place, and heaven didn't ignore you. The delay wasn't denial, it was preparation. You asked, "Where are you?" And now I'm answering not with just words, but with a divine interruption to your discouragement. I'm here. Why here? Not watching from afar, not testing your endurance, but standing in the middle of your sorrow and saying, "You're not alone." I'm touching the places you thought were too numb to feel again. I'm breathing into what you thought was too broken to live again. I'm drawing near not because you summon me perfectly, but because you are loved completely. Even in your most unguarded moments, even when you questioned me, even when you felt abandoned, I held you. And I'm still holding you. I didn't turn away in your doubts. I leaned in. Because I understand that your question wasn't rebellion, it was pain searching for a promise. And here it is. I am Emmanuel, God with you. Not God above you. Not God far from you. Not God waiting for you to get it right. With you. In this. Through this. Beyond this. You don't need to ask where I am anymore. Just look at this moment. The fact that you're reading these words right now isn't coincidence, it's confirmation. I timed this message to find you when your soul needed it most. So breathe. I've come close to remind you of what the darkness wanted you to forget. I never left. And I never will. You've whispered in the dark, "Lord, if you're really with me, show me something." You begged for confirmation not because you didn't want to believe, but because your pain blurred your ability to receive. I know how it feels to wait for the heavens to split open with answers while your soul aches for just a glimpse of assurance. But, child, I've been responding. Not always in the ways you expected, but always with love carefully woven into moments you often dismissed as ordinary. You looked for burning bushes, thundering voices, or visible miracles. But I've been sending signs clothed in simplicity, whispers in your spirit. People showing up at just the right time. Scriptures coming alive without warning. Psalms that echoed what you never told anyone. Peace that arrived when anxiety should have taken over. I didn't miss your cry for a sign, I heard it. But the weight of what you've endured has clouded your ability to trust what your spirit once recognized easily. Your wounds didn't just break your heart, they blurred your discernment. And I understand. When you've been hurt deeply, even hope feels suspicious. When promises have been broken, even my truth can feel unfamiliar. But I never stopped speaking. I never withheld myself from you. It's just that grief sometimes distorts the vision of the soul, making it harder to see that I'm the one behind the gentle interruptions that protected you, the redirections that spared you, the delays that saved you from walking into something you weren't ready for. You prayed for a way out, and I gave you exits. You asked for a sign, and I sent them in the form of peace in your chaos, unexpected comfort, and even closed doors that were my mercy in disguise. But I know why you missed them. I know how betrayal can numb your sensitivity to my nearness. I know how trauma can train your heart to expect disappointment, even when I'm pouring out favor. So let me restore your vision, not your natural one, but the spiritual lens through which you used to recognize my fingerprints on everything. You used to see me in the little things. I want to bring you back to that place, not for nostalgia, but for reconnection. Because the signs are still coming. And this one right now, these very words, this is one of them. I brought this message to your eyes not as a generic encouragement, but as a divine response tailored specifically for your questions. You wondered if I still speak to you. I never stop. But I speak the loudest in stillness, and I speak the clearest in trust. I know your heart is tired. I know the delays have made you feel forgotten. I know the silence made you wonder if your requests were ignored. But child, the signs were never missing. Your wounds just made it hard to believe they were real. It changes now. I'm healing not just your heart, I'm healing your sensitivity to my movements. I'm restoring your ability to perceive me again, not in thunder, but in the gentle breeze. You won't have to beg for signs anymore, because when your heart is whole, you begin to recognize me without needing constant proof. You will feel me in the quiet. You'll sense me in timing that's too perfect to be coincidence. You'll see me in the connections I orchestrate, in the opportunities I open, in the peace that no longer leaves. From now on, ask boldly, but also rest quietly. I am not hiding my will from you, I am preparing your heart to receive it when it comes. And this time, you won't miss it, because I am healing the lens through which you see me. Your eyes won't be fogged by fear anymore. Your discernment won't be buried beneath disappointment anymore. I'm opening your spirit to see clearly again, so you won't just see signs, you'll see me. I don't base my calling on how you feel, I base it on who I made you to be. And nothing you've been through has canceled my decision. I chose you before the struggle. I appointed you before the heartbreak. I called you before the insecurity took root. And that call hasn't changed, even if you have. You've been walking under the weight of self-doubt, measuring yourself by past mistakes, missed opportunities, and the words of others who never saw your true value. But I saw it. I still see it. Not the version of you that feels disqualified. Not the one that keeps second-guessing every move. I see the one I created in full intention. The one I designed for impact. The one I loved long before the world ever had an opinion. I didn't make you to blend, and I made you to carry something holy. And even if you don't feel worthy of it right now, that doesn't change the fact that heaven already stamped your name on purpose. Unworthiness isn't the truth, it's a feeling, and feelings are not reliable indicators of identity. I know you've been walking with a limp, trying to outrun the echo of not enough in your mind. But you don't have to strive for a place you've already been given. You don't have to earn what I already handed you in grace. I chose you knowing your weakness. I appointed you fully aware of your doubts. I called you not despite your brokenness, but because I knew how my power would shine through it. You've believed that if you were really called, you wouldn't be struggling like this. But calling doesn't exempt you from battles, it proves you're on assignment. A resistance you feel. That's not because you're unworthy, it's because the enemy fears what happens when you remember who you really are. He wants you to believe that your value is unstable, that it depends on perfection, that one wrong move cancels your destiny. But that's a lie from hell, and I'm breaking it off you now. I don't withdraw my favor when you falter. I don't revoke my promises when you fall short. I restore. I redeem. I recommission. The only thing I'm asking from you is to stop running from what I already declared over your life. You keep waiting until you feel holy enough to step into it, but holiness doesn't come from performance, it comes from surrender. And you, right now, in all your mess and weariness, are still chosen, still set apart, still carrying something eternal. You've looked around and compared yourself to others, thinking they are more qualified, more gifted, more ready. But I didn't call them to be you. I didn't place your assignment in anyone else's hands. I gave it to you because no one else can carry it like you can. Not because of your talent, but because of the way I designed your heart. You've let shame whisper that you're too late, too broken, too unsure. But I'm shouting over that shame now. You are still mine. And nothing about your past, your pain, or your process disqualifies you. In fact, everything you've walked through has been preparing you to carry what others couldn't. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being willing. I can do more with your yes in weakness than with your silence in shame. So stop disqualifying yourself from a race I already placed you in. Get up. Not because you feel strong, but because I'm offering my strength. You don't have to prove you're chosen, you just have to believe it long enough to start walking like it's true. The oil I've poured on your life hasn't dried up. The anointing I gave you hasn't faded. The vision I planted hasn't died, it's just been buried under discouragement. And today I'm digging it up. Today, I'm calling you out of hiding. You are still my chosen one. And I will finish what I started in you. You've buried things deep inside that you've never spoken aloud, not because you don't trust me, but because a part of you is afraid I'll see you differently once it's exposed. But I already know. Every silent regret, every hidden failure, every compromise you swore you'd never make, every moment you looked in the mirror and felt shame wrap around you like a shadow, I was there. Not watching with judgment, but staying with love. You see, my love is not shallow. It doesn't retreat when confronted with the parts of you that are still healing. I don't flinch when you remember what you've tried to forget. I don't pull away when you're faced with the mess that still lingers beneath your surface. In fact, that's where I come closest when you think you're the most unworthy.